So the last thing I need to do is add some rotation. And I've got the shading in this window menu set to wireframe unshaded. So you can see my sphere. And what I've done is I selected the sphere. I realized that I needed it to rotate in the X axis. So I started at frame 1, set the rotation value at 0. I went to frame the next keyframe where it actually hits the tip. So frame 15, that's where the translation takes it to the tip. And you notice it's rotated because I set the rotation value to a -90. So you can see if I scrub this. Now once I left that, I went to the next keyframe, which is when it's on the ground, and I changed the -90. I added 90 to it, made it -180. So again, during its descent, it rotates, and then as it goes up top, I changed that 180 by the time I got to the keyframe at the peak to -359. Now I didn't make it -360 because sometimes the software will get confused and it will go backwards the other way. In other words, the distance between 360 and -360 and -180 is equal, whether it rotates forward or backwards. So by going to -359, I continue it. I force it to keep going in the direction that it started. And then I went one more frame till I got to the bottom and did -359, and then I added a -180. It was too hard for me to do the math, so I just went to 540. So I just kept doing that down the pike. So now when I'm back up top, we can name this -720. And key it. And let's see, do we get, yep, okay. So you can see, I'll take off so it's not highlighted, you can see the ball is rotating as it bounces. And that's the way you just continue that phase, okay? Now if we go to the graph editor again, and we click on that, you can see it's just kind of this very steady pace. If we think about on the way down, that's okay. Now if we come up, if I can get this out of your way a little bit, so as we come up, right, that keyframe there should represent the top. And so we might, if we can, it's hard to get to that handles there because they're right on that line. There we go. So what I'd like to do is maybe slow this down just a little bit. So I broke the tangent. So the rotation there should, let's see, it should slow down. See how it, let's go back one more time. Okay, it's coming off, now watch. See, it just right here came down, and then just as it went up towards the top, it actually slowing the rotation just a little bit. So it's kind of matching. What I'm trying to do is match the just a little bit. I'm trying to slow it down so that when we hit this point where we're trying to show the arc, trying to show this slowing where we lose energy, the rotation would have essentially the same thing. So it's losing a little energy, it's just getting a little slower there, and then takes off. So we could do the same thing here. Just grab that, move that down. Now what I needed to do, I'm sorry, to break that tangent so I can keep it picking up pace as it goes down. So what this should be doing is making this slow, sorry, as it gets to the peak, and then speed up again as it falls down. Oops, I have too many there. Okay, and it's going to be pretty subtle. That's something you can experiment with and work on there, okay? So maybe for this first one, well, that's actually for the, we get to here. I'll sharpen that a little bit. So it spins, hits the ground. We really want to keep those 2 points actually pretty straight. That's the descent. And as it comes up, we want it to slow as it gets to the top. And here's the next descent. So we want to make sure this line as much as possible is pretty straight. And then slow it here. Okay. So let's see if we can see any change here a little bit. You can see how it just goes a little bit slower as it gets towards the top there. So you can adjust that on by following this process according to your rotation then. And then the goal really is to coordinate coordinate as much as possible. So if I just have that rotation X and the translation Y, you can start to see how they're lining up, if you will. Okay.